but we still have more uncurable disease than ever.
Imagine that.
So I guess we don't have the answers. Or do we have the answers, and they've chosen not to use them?
Right.
Because I do believe there are some medications that can help. I mean, let's look at something like...
Shots.
Shots, yes. Shots, first word.
I don't know. You can come back to me with that. I don't have no clue what you're talking about.
I'll have to give this some thought. It might take a while.
But you have to look at...
Penicillin.
Okay.
There it goes.
Penicillin.
See it? The brain.
I knew it would
just
come back
made
to
that
you.
revolution, and it's good.
You need some pharmakia.
Pharmakia.
Yeah. I mean, there are medicines that work. And,
Mojo.
and I think, too, that spiritually and medically can work together if they would recognize, But in 2 Corinthians 10:4, it says that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God, through the pulling down of strongholds. So, I mean, there's tons of stuff in the Bible. We've put it to use, and it works. When you pray over somebody and when you use Jesus' name, when you help them through that spiritually, it works.
Part of it is, too, the country we live in. You get into some of these third world countries where they're not able to get to some of these medicines, and then you get into some of these areas where they're introduced to a real strong Christianity, and they learn that there's a power in the name of Jesus, and they use that. A lot of people are healed in these little third world countries on the off beaten path, because they can't go down to the street and get glasses or get a shot or get this medication. They're like, what? Hope? We'll take it. Let's do it. And they believe it.
Because they don't have all these alternatives.
Why? Because they don't look at the alternative.
Yep.
I mean, the second we can't see, we go down to the Walgreens, we grab a pair of cheater glasses and say, look, I'm fixed. But
That's true.
We're really not fixed.
That's totally true. And I mean, I know between you and I, we've seen tons of miracles happen.
Yeah.
And so I know that spiritually this stuff can work if we apply it. And then, if you look at some of these side effects, you want to read some of those side effects to these? Oh my gosh.
Increased chance of death. Stroke.
Coma.
Little,
Nice.
I know your headache's gone, but you really ain't going to be coherent for about a year. High fever, stiff muscles, confusion.
Muscle spasms. Permanent muscle spasms, too.
Okay, dizziness, seizures, swollen throat, trouble standing, impaired judgment or motor skills. An urge to gamble. I remember that. It was on TV. It was like, if you suddenly have an urge to gamble,
I think one, too.
you need to go to the dog track immediately.
But you won't hear voices anymore. and another one I remember seeing, too, was something like urge to be a pack rat. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that too.
What? How can that be a side effect?
I want to save that. Yes, save it. Save it all.
So you're going to want to gamble and be a pack rat and have diarrhea, but you won't hear voices.
And you might die.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or, coma first, though.
Coma
So
death.
Who wants to risk that? I mean, do you know how much trust you're putting into someone who maybe's never experienced it or may not believe in the supernatural? You're living your life taking pills that they prescribe because of a disease that they're telling you have. I think that's a little crazy to me.
So if you're struggling with bipolar, schizophrenia, or mental illness, rethink it being a disease, but perhaps it's an effect of something else that ails you.
Spiritual affliction.
Affliction.
And if this is true, you wonder, how do you get help? Well, we always look to the Bible. That's what we've done.
I would have dialed 911, but they can't find the 11.
People with depression and bipolar, hearing voices, self-harm, madness, we're all healed by the Spirit of God by faith. You just have to ask. We've been on investigations in our own life, too, and we've seen awesome things happen. So that's why we say that we know this stuff works. And my personal experiences with the whole bipolar stuff and the seeing spirits, and those are just a couple of them. My entire book is full of all my things. And I know that this stuff's real, and I'm not saying every single case, but I would say most of them. 99%.
Most of them, yeah. We've seen a lot of miracles. There was a time I had a friend who had technically a broken back. Mm-hmm. And it's not that he couldn't walk or anything, but he had a broken back. And I remember God prompted me to go lay hands on him, and I did. And he says he could feel the warming sensation. Now, it's not me doing it. I'm just a tool.
Right.
But the warming sensation, he said the back pain went away. Now, shortly after, he went back to the doctor, regular visits for this back, and the doctor says, well, your back's still broke. He says, yeah, but it don't hurt. He goes, well, I can't explain why it doesn't hurt, but it's still broke.
Yep.
So, really, you don't always have to have the cure. Just get rid of the symptom.
Well, I had a friend, too, who was having really bad dreams. And so she was taking sleeping pills so that she could sleep better, which, knocks you out so bad that you don't experience anything. But I didn't know that she was taking these pills or having nightmares. And I know that God spoke to me and said, go lay hands on her. And when I was praying on her, God said for me to tell her, stop taking those pills. And so I did. And you should have seen her face. She turned around and looked at me, what? And so she did. And the nightmare stopped. It's just about faith. It's about trust. And if, unfortunately, so many people end up committing suicide or turn to addiction or alcoholism and stuff because the pills aren't working. And
what is the difference in some cases between somebody with a little suit and tie on telling you need to take this medication and someone going down on a local bar and drinking? I mean, it's just another way.
But legally.
And one's more legal and one's not, and one's supposedly better. And just because someone wants to say that this is okay, I mean, there's the world you live in today. They say, well, that's okay to do that. Doesn't make it right.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it okay. It doesn't make the overall result the same. If you're taking too much alcohol, you're going to have an effect from that. Yeah. If you're taking too much of these prescribed so-called drugs, and we know there's a lot of people that say, I got to take 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pills. Elderly people are taking just tons of pills because they're told they have to. A pill to offset the effects of another pill. It's like, really? Mm-hmm. And then there comes a time where some of them will get to the point where they'll say, you know what? I've had enough of this. And they start looking at dietary things, and all of a sudden they're like, you know what? I was able to stop taking a lot of my medication. Really? Surprise, surprise.
Stop poisoning the mind.
Stop poisoning the body. I mean, there's things out there, and I don't want, like I said, there are purposes for some medications.
Sure.
I mean,
and doctors are great.
And they are great. I mean, when you got a broken leg, it's really nice to have someone, be able to put that back in place for you. It's great. And so we don't want to take away from that, but we also want to understand there's a great, there's more to this. And if we look at the ministry of Jesus, when he was running around, he was casting things out, and the demon that come flying out of the cave at him, who was cutting himself, he cast that out, and he was hearing voices and demonically oppressed, and people with leprosy and all these things. If the leprosy wasn't some sort of spirit, then how can he just remove it? Just say, go.
Yeah.
And get it out of him instantly.
Well, there's
he
tons
didn't give
of
him
examples.
No medication or nothing. I mean, just like when he took that blind person, he spit the mud in the eye. It's like, we know that mud does not cure anything. Okay? But Jesus is just saying, look, I'm going to take something that doesn't make any sense to you, showing you that I am God, and I am going to fix this man's eye before all of you.
It just takes faith. That's what it takes.
That's the way it is.
Yep. Well, I guess that's the end of the show.
No, it's not the end of the show. Did you hear?
No, wait. I have to say, though, about the medical statistics that I gave. I just want everybody to know where I found them, that I didn't make them up. BBC News, Forbes magazine,
Forbes.
Newsweek,
The
CDC website, the ADAA, NAMI, which is NAMI, and the Substance Abuse.
Is that like Vietnamese?
Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. That's where I got all these statistics, and I mean, you can look them up yourself too, and just see how many people are suffering from this. And maybe there's even people who aren't hearing voices. Maybe they just had like an episode or something, and they just want to be put on pills the rest of their life.
To mention, I have a friend who his son, kind of a stressful job he had and stuff, and he just basically freaked out one day, and I guess he had some sort of an epilepsy type seizure or something. So lo and behold, they just threw this kid on tons of medication. Yet today, he's running around on tons of medication, and now he's so medicated, it's changed him. He's not able to really hold, and he's a very intelligent person and a very good job, and it just got to him.
Happens.
And now they're like, okay, well, yeah, he's on medication. He can only work for minimum wage now, and he can do this. And I'm thinking, there's things you could do for this kid. I mean, It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be this way.
Well,
But they won't listen to me or anybody else.
Right.
They made their choice that this is the way it's going to be. It's like, really?
How bad do you want to be
This
normal?
is just how you're going to leave this kid now. I mean, we're talking, he's really not a kid anymore. He's in his 30s. Mom and Dad are going to take care of him because, well, that's the way it is. No, that's how it became, but that does not need to be the way it stays. He could have help, and maybe he did need to talk to somebody. Maybe he did need a less stressful job. Maybe there's some things that could change and be done, but I don't think medicating him to the point where he's useless, it makes any sense.
Well, they give out Prozac and all that stuff like it's candy now. They give it to anybody. And, if someone says, I'm stressed out or I'm having this issue, they're telling you, your mind's poisoned, so we're going to give you this. So it's like, your mind's poisoned, so we're going to give you more poison. And that's how you're going to live. That's not quality life.
Right.
So.
Right. Did you, I know this might, you heard about my friend's dog, didn't you?
Scott. No.
Oh, man.
This is...
Well, he's got this little puppy. Oh, this is sad.
No.
And he's got this little puppy, and,
It is sad.
it was just the other day.
Sad.
The other day, and he had the puppy outside, and he was cutting the grass, and he had one of them old gas cans that's kind of flat on the top and some gas in there. And the puppy went over there and drank the gas. And the dog started just running all over the place and just hit the ground. Of course, I think you kind of know what happened, don't you?
No, what?
He ran out of gas.